But my stuff is going to be totally about something completely different. Secrets to being a successful, let's say professional. Forget about lawyer for a while. Let's just say professional, because what we are technically is we are, well, my title is actually with the Judicial Bureau and with this law firm is Gougy, what is it? No, not Gougy Lucia. It's a Gougy Fadu Guen. Fadu Guen. Sorry, it's such an impressive title. I forgot. And so I'm just which means, and I just get this word gougy, which means high class. I don't know when I got the gougy. I guess it was this year, or after slugging away at it for a lot of years, they give the word gougy in front of it. So all that we're going to be, ever aspire to be for those of us, even if you're Chinese nationals who were educated abroad, all we can be is legal advisors. Guys like Kenan Zhang, former judge over here, guys like John Lee, guys like Xie Liang, these are all big professionals, and they're lawyers and patent agents and all these other kind of crazy things. Now, secrets to being a successful professional in this country is, one is to believe in something that is greater than yourself. Believe in something that is greater than yourself. Now, what you're going to learn here, you're never going to hear it in another China law lecture. Never, ever going to hear it in a China law lecture again. But I'm just trying to tell you, as someone who had to learn the hard way, someone who started here 21 years ago and didn't have a clue. There was nobody standing here. There was no Dominic telling me where to go, what to do, how to go to the washroom, do whatever. No. I had to sort of figure it out by myself, and I had to learn and find examples. And this is what's the most difficult thing about what we're doing here, which is we need to say we're really super smart people, but there's something smarter than us, whether it's the law firm as a group, as a collective, whether it's somebody who's going to mentor us and who's going to make us a better lawyer and who's going to challenge us, or whether that's God, or whether that's your spouse, or whether that's the Communist Party, or whatever that is. But you have to say that there's something stronger than yourself in order to be a good professional, okay? And so once you give that, you start with that pathway, then you're on your way to becoming a successful professional here in China. Because here's what I'm saying. We're smart, but we're unemotionally developed. That's a lot of times we lawyers, somehow, emotionally, we get stuck in 13 years old or in 16 years old. And a lot of times, it's funny, I was in Berlin recently, and I was talking to a guy who was angry with me, another lawyer, another professional. And I have a son who's in 7th grade, and he is 13 years old. And the amount of silliness that goes on in 7th grade is still around for those of us who are 47, 48 years old. So I'm in this seminar, and I was late to the seminar, and people were angry with me, and I was supposed to be doing all this stuff, and guys are yelling at me. And and I'm saying to myself, a lot of these lawyers are kind of emotionally not as developed as they should be. I don't know what happened. Maybe their mama told them that everything was fine, or maybe no one ever challenged them, or who knows what. But remember that you got to believe in somebody greater than yourself, and you got to be able to work through all this sort of emotional issues. These are things you don't talk about in law school. We think we know everything, but we don't know enough to know that we don't know everything. So what we need to do is have someone help us, a spouse, a law firm, a mentor, whatever. That's how you can become successful. Notice there's nothing about learning Chinese language here. There's nothing about learning the culture. It's just saying it's about the process of learning, which happens even to me after 21 years, that I am trying to learn from you. I'm trying to learn from this gentleman here that got the LLM. I didn't have any LLM, any fancy LLM in Chinese law, and I didn't know anything. So I'm just saying, if it's possible for a moron like me to be able to do something in this country, then this is how I've been able to do it. I try to find someone that is greater than myself, a mentor, a law firm, whatever. Remember that the practice of law is just to practice. That's the second notion here. So all we're doing is learning from other people. You've got to be humble enough to learn from other people. You've got to say, hey, I don't know everything for sure. And that weakness becomes your strength. Give me a lever and I can move the world. It isn't about knowing everything. It isn't about being able to read and write and speak and understand cultures and stuff. No, it's about practicing and working with other people. So collectively, we are strong. Separately, we are weak. We are selfish. We are weak. We are unemotionally developed. And so the way to be able to do it is to practice. And so for those of you who studied Marxism, as we all know, Hegel, I think Hegel. Okay, whoever the Germans are in the audience. It's dialectic. So all that dialecticism is, if everybody can remember that, and my undergraduate degree was in chemistry, was not in any kind of philosophy, but dialectic is this idea that there are ideas out there, and two ideas that meet will create another yet idea, another reality, another thing going forward. And so the only thing about dialecticism is that it means change. And that's the only thing that we can count on here as professionals who want to work in China, is that we can change. And we've got to be adaptable enough to be able to change. Now, I remember, and I'm going to drop names here, and this sounds really vain, but I'm going to do it because it really happened. I'm on the board of the American Chamber of Commerce, and I'm sitting in a room, and in the room is just, during his presidency, is George Bush, H.W. Bush, so the old man, okay, Mr. George W. Bush's father. So I'm sitting in there, and as a part of the board of governors of the American Chamber, I'm able to sit in this meeting with him. And then there's a guy called Brent Scrowcroft who was in charge of the national security, and there's all kinds of other really smart guys in there. I can't remember who they all were. But George Bush is quite a nice guy and a very commanding guy. And sliding in next to me, all of a sudden, after the meeting started, was a guy, and I had no idea who he was, and he started to talk. And I could see that George Bush was very angry with him. And it turns out the guy who slid in next to me was the then ambassador. His name was Sasser. And he started to say, oh, we should do this about China, we should do that about China. And George Bush looked at him and he said, you know, when you were in the Senate, Ambassador Sasser, you certainly didn't talk that way. And then Ambassador Sasser came back and he said, you know what? Just like my law school professor told me, like with dinosaurs, you got to be able to turn around fast enough or you become extinct. And so what Ambassador Sasser was saying was that he's changed his opinion. Okay, so he's learned, he's practiced, he's done whatever, and that's okay too. So we must be willing to help other people. If you want to get rich, this is not the profession to be in. Okay, you may be able to drive a halfway decent car, you may be able to have a nice tie-on, but this is not a place to make huge amounts of money. Just so come to the realization that that's going to be happening. What I'd like to do is, on a daily basis, basically, I like to say with our professionals, we want to take a daily inventory to better ourselves as lawyers or professionals. We want to move from all this negative nonsense, okay, to all this positive stuff. And if you can try to do that on a daily basis and not judge people, but but try to work with them and try to find out what it's all about. The practice of law is to help people. That's what we're supposed to be doing, is help people. And also people help us. So you got to be able to do three things. Think of something that's higher than yourself or bigger than yourself, whether it's a law firm. Second thing is be willing to ask for help, okay? And then the third thing is be willing to help other people. And then try to get your personality traits on the best route possible. So that's my presentation, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you very much. Next, I'll introduce Alex Clar from the great state of Wisconsin and California and other places, and I will take his seat because this is going to be fast. Come on in. Come on in.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning.
Afternoon.
Sorry. On the wrong foot already. It's a Monday morning.
So we're working here. So Alex, any comments, criticisms about my presentation?
No, it's great.
Okay, yeah, fantastic.
Try
Try to eat up some time. Eating up the time.
Oh, okay.
Also, we're taping this too, so we may put this on a podcast. Should anyone be so inclined that we have to listen to this nonsense again. But like I said, we just need to